Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Shona. I am a yoga teacher, personal trainer, ex-gymnast, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips that I think you need to know when trying to achieve a handstand. And I'm really specifically going to cover a lot of the things that often, as a yoga teacher, as a personal trainer, I have not had time to explain in the context of a big group class. Obviously, if I'm working one-on-one with someone, then I can give them this advice and we eventually get to being able to do the handstand and do it really well. But when I'm teaching a yoga class, I don't have time to explain all of this stuff because, you know, we have 45 minutes or we have an hour and we have a whole bunch of other stuff to get through. So I'm going to keep this as quick as I possibly can, but truly, if you want to achieve a handstand, if you're working on your handstand, if it's something that you just really want to be able to do, listen up. There's only 5 tips. I know each and every one of them is going to help you. Make sure you watch to the end. I've made sure that I've chaptered them, but they are all equally as important as each other. Let's do this. Number 1, if your shoulders are tight, so if you can't get them into flexion, your body's gonna have to compensate, and it's gonna usually compensate in the spine, but other joints are gonna compensate to help you balance, essentially. So if I can only flex this much, to get the rest of my body balanced over my hands, I'm gonna have to move into a bit of a back bend. And this is something that's often overlooked, and we don't spend enough time kind of working on shoulder mobility because guess what? It's not as fun as just like kicking up into handstands. But if you really, truly want to be able to achieve that handstand and do so safely for the rest of your life, or at least a good portion of it without injury or impingement or pain in different areas, then you need to make sure that you're working on your shoulder flexion, mobility, and flexibility. I got loads of sequences on this, so make sure you check them out. I'll make sure that I link them below. Number 2, train your core. Now, no doubt you've heard this before, but I am not just referring to your six-pack. Truly, the core is anything that stabilizes your spine. So that's why experts kind of have this constant disagreement about how do we really define what that is? Is the pelvis involved in that? Are your glutes involved in something that helps to stabilize your your spine? Possibly. I kind of sit on the yes, glutes are core muscle because the pelvis attaches in and it's so close and so fundamental to your whole trunk stability here. Anyway, I digress. Trunk stability, core stability, or spinal stability refers to your back as well. So if you're not doing back work, then you're not going to be developing the skill to understand how to maintain a stable trunk when you're upside down. My favorite exercises for handstand core work include the hollow body position and the dish position. Often people know about hollow body, but they don't know about dish. And I cannot tell you how many freaking dish poses I had to do when I was growing up as a gymnast. And more specifically, hollow body rocks and dish rocks, like so. So make sure you get those into your repertoire, perform them, you know, at the end of every second yoga sequence or yoga class that you go to, or when you're doing your ab sessions at the end of your workouts, try to tag those babies along. Number 3, your wrists, your hands, and your forearms do a lot to keep you stable in that position. Now, we take our feet for granted, but our feet are like that too. They're doing so much work, as well as our calf muscles and anterior tibialis, which we often neglect. That's muscle at the front of the shin, to stabilize us when we're standing, when we're walking, when we're moving. Now, the hands have never had to do that. They're not designed really for that. So when you start practicing handstand, you're like, yeah, come on, foot, hand. Like, no. You can't just expect that you're gonna have the strength or the range of motion in your wrists to be able to just kind of take your entire body weight into this little tiny joint. Like, it's crazy. Talk about like crazy unrealistic expectations that we place on ourselves. Sounds like all of my romantic relationships. Anyway, let's make sure that we're strengthening through the forearms, we're maintaining care for our wrist joints. Now, I have several videos on why and how to avoid pain in the wrists, what sequences to do. Again, I will link them below. Number 4, be neat as you enter. Point your toes. Now, I did actually make a whole video of this on my Instagram channel, and it was basically about the entrance and exit from a handstand. One of the main reasons that we want to consider pointing our toes is not just because we'll get great marks from the judges, because let's say you're just doing handstand for yourself, you're like, I don't care. Maybe you care a little, but like not that much, right? You don't have judges watching you the whole time. You're just doing handstands for fun. If that is you, you still need to be pointing your toes. And the reason why is a concept called irradiation. Now, irradiation I've talked about in my mobility program as well. Essentially, you can think of it like this. If you make a fist and you squeeze that fist and you keep squeezing and you try to put a lot of effort into it, like do it with me right now. I keep squeezing, squeeze, 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 squeeze. Eventually, do you see what's happening? My arm starts to shake. Even my face kind of tries to get involved too. I start like making that face. And this has to do with the fact that whenever we're working hard on something, it's not just like this one isolated area. The whole body actually starts to activate. We get tissue activation throughout the body to help maintain stability so that we can continue to do that movement or perform that exercise or perform a handstand. So when I come into the handstand and my toes are pointed, my legs are active. Yes, my core is active. I'm ensuring that everything is like way more under control, way more active, way more balanced, and is kind of helping out my shoulders, my arms in doing the handstand. I know it sounds strange, but you just try it now. Do one where your legs are like super relaxed and kind of floppy and see how long you can hold it for versus when you really aim to point through your toes and keep your legs active. Everything feels lighter, and it's a really, really important part of it. And the reason I say that it's often neglected in yoga practice, in yoga classes, is because often as a yoga teacher, you don't have time to really cue that. You can say point your toes, but people don't understand why. I'm not going to point my toes for whatever reason that is. Just know that it serves a function beyond aesthetics, so do it anyway. And number 5, practice your wall holds facing the wall. If you do it the other way, where you just kick up and your back rests, the chances are you're just encouraging this back bend and it has no transference to when you come off. By facing the wall, I can practice things like my hollow body shape. I am less likely to rest because of the nature of the position. It means that I'm working a lot harder when I actually face the wall, which is helping to build the strength. It also helps you to kind of get over the fear of handstands a little bit, because obviously you don't have anything that's stopping you from falling. And so you now have to work a little bit harder. You have to face that fear. As I've said many times before, the only way is through. So it is a really great way to ensure that you're going to develop much more handstand confidence, which we cannot underestimate the psychological powers of really getting over our fear of falling. My next video, I'm going to talk to you guys about how to exit the handstand, how to kind of like fall out of it safely, particularly if you're in a class, and how to come off things the way that I learned as a gymnast, whether I was coming off the beam, the bar, the floor, whatever it was. Again, another thing that we often just don't get taught in the yoga class or classes because the teacher doesn't have time. They just have time to teach the actual yoga sequence. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I love talking about handstands. I want to do a whole bunch of handstand videos that include like strengthening your upper body for handstands, core strength for handstands, even flexibility for handstands too. That was something I left out in the tips that I was like, do I leave it out? Do I keep it in? But the reason I didn't put it in is because I only had 5 and I was like, I need my 5 most important ones. But truly having flexible hamstrings really helps you in the kick up, and I will talk about it more in another sequence that I will do further down the line. I'm so grateful that you guys joined in for this video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Try to apply these in your classes, try to apply this in your journey, and I will continue to give you guys as much handstand knowledge and awareness and practice and strength work and drill work and safety work as you need. So make sure you comment below and let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you guys are personally struggling with so that I can create videos to cater to those things. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And follow me here and subscribe here if you haven't already, and check out my strength training programs, because guess what? For handstands, you need strength. I've got a home program and I also have a gym program. So make sure you check out those and I'll link them below. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye guys.